Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SteelMint Engage 2.0, a 5-day webinar series which would cover a wide spectrum of topics ranging from iron ore, coal to scrap and steel. I am Aditi Tiwari, Senior Analyst with SteelMint and your host for the evening today. Before starting our session, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners, Ministry of Steel and Indian Steel Association for their support. I would also like to thank NMDC, JSW, and Tata Steel for being our esteemed sponsor for the event. Let us start our session on the very interesting topic of the recent times, which is emerging trend in the met coke trade dynamics. Joining us is our esteemed guest, Mr. Puneet Jagatramka, who is currently working as the Executive Vice President, Commercial with JSW Steel. Mr. Puneet has 22 years of experience across the spectrum of industry in procurement, material management, and supply chain management in both India and abroad. Hi, sir. It's a pleasure having you here with us in our discussion.
Nice. Thank you, Aditi, for introducing me, and good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah. So before we have our detailed discussion with our guest, I would like to give you a brief overview of the global met coke market. So I'll just share my screen. Okay. So post-pandemic, world's crude steel production has grown by 4% in 2021 and stood at around 1.95 billion tons. This is further expected to grow by 3% in 2022 to 2 billion tons. With production via blast furnace route accounting for 70% of the total output, the same is expected to touch 1.36 billion tons in 2021 and is expected to stand at around 1.40 billion tons in 2022. Given the BOF production, world's met coke requirement stands at around 600 million tons, which is expected to grow up to 630 million tons in 2022. China is the largest producer of met coke as its average coke output stands at around 460 million tons. However, only 2% of the world's total coke requirement is traded in the form of imports and exports, which stands at around 13 to 14 million tons. Now, coming to the key importers of met coke, India is the top importer of coke at 2.55 million tons in 2021, followed by Germany and Japan. The country recorded highest quantity of imports from Poland, China, and Colombia. Interestingly, in terms of volume, the country's import stands to be very meager against its total coke requirement of 37 million tons. If we look into the exports, China is the top exporter of met coke in 21, and the country exported around 6.545 million tons. The key export destinations for China were Japan, followed by India. Following China, the two major met coke exporters in the world are Colombia and Russia. Now, if we look into the India's met coke trade dynamics, as we have seen in the earlier slide, India has been the major met coke importer. However, its imports have come down dramatically in 2021. If we compare the numbers against 2019, the imports have fallen by 24%. Indian manufacturers are focusing on buying domestic coke over imported material, majorly because Chinese coke offers were absent in the second half of 2021 due to the domestic coal shortage over there. Very interestingly, India has emerged as a met coke exporter in 2021 as the country's exports stood at around 1.26 million tons. The country exported coke majorly to Italy, Vietnam, and Japan. Sluggish domestic demand and competitive offers by the Indian sellers in the export market provided them an opportunity to sell in the overseas market. Now, if we look at the price graph over here, both imported and domestic met coke prices have surged in 2021 amid coking coal supply disruptions in both US and Australia. The recent Ukraine-Russia crisis has made coking coal prices touch a new high, which is likely to further push domestic coke prices in India. This brings us to the end of my presentation. Now, I would have a detailed discussion with our guest, Mr. Puneet.
Yes, Aditi.
Yes, sir. Sir, so to begin with, as I have mentioned that the prices have touched all-time high recently because of the Ukraine and Russia crisis. But in 2021, although prices were very high because of the change in global trade dynamics. So what do you expect? Will this rally continue? Will 2022 will see a downtrend in coking coal and coke prices?
So in terms of a price view for obviously as a company, we cannot give any price view, but as an individual, I would say the prices are ever highest, or I would say all-time highest, never heard of, never imagined. So obviously it's in a unbelievable or unprecedented territory, which is not a sustainable for all the commodities today, what the prices we are seeing. It is a jerk impact, and it has to normalize. It may not go back to the level what it used to be in year 2019 or maybe in year 2000 early 21, but yes, normalization will happen and it has to soften drastically from the level what it is today.
Okay. So, sir, what are your estimates? Like once the this issue is resolved in within a month or 2 months time, so do you think that met coke and coking coal prices will see a major correction?
So I hope issue getting resolved very soon, and it may have an impact of maybe another month or so, and then the start pricing will start correcting whatever $600 you were showing in terms of the input material for making coke.
Yeah.
It should somewhere come closer to 300 odd number type of a level should be coming back.
Okay.
We do not see any slowdown in terms of a flow of the material on the ocean water as such.
Okay.
It is in anticipation of worry whether the material will be available or not. The bidding is happening at a very high price without any much of a physical trade getting reported at those level. If you ask any of the buyer, are they willing to book a cargo or any of the coke producer in India at this price level? I would suspect that anybody would be willing to book at this price level.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So you're saying like at these price level, bookings by Indian importers are seems highly unlikely given the levels of 500, 550 or 600 or so. But prices will come down to 300 levels after the like after a month or so. But it won't reach to the levels of $100 what it used to be like 2 years back, is it?
Yes, yes. Structurally, the demand is very strong in the world market for everything, and whenever it normalizes to a reasonable level of 300 type, as per me, the tremendous export opportunity even today is holding good in the coke, and it will continue to hold good. You were showing there is a good export amount of data in terms of coke export has happened in 21. And India is a net importer, which was about 2.5 million. You showed it to us. So there is a great potential for India in terms of continuing the production. But once the prices are normalized, this may be a risky call depending upon the orders people would like to take.
Okay, okay. Sir, coming to the next question, like the sharp rise in coking coal prices have severely impacted the met coke plants utilization in India. So in the current crisis, do you think that this will force few of the merchant coke plants to either shut down or to reduce their utilization levels dramatically in the coming months?
It is not advisable to slow down any of the capacity. They may look for a client who is willing to give a coal and get it converted into coke, because world continues to have a shortage of a coke even today. So India is rather seen as a country next to China as a factory to the world. So India slowing down today, if you ask any of the even ferroalloys or a lot of steel making material, is being exported from India, and which has been all time the best numbers are seen in 2021, even including coke.
Okay.
So as per me, demand exists. It's only a price risk, because prices, whenever it will change, it may have a risk in terms of whatever inventory anybody has.
Mm-hmm.
But they should look for a client who can get the coal converted into coke. That's how we should retain the capacity, and the demand supply is definitely looking for continuity of the production.
Okay, perfect. In between, I would like to request our audience, they can put out their questions in the chat box for Mr. Puneet. We will have the audience questions in the end of the session. Now, sir, going forward, like what do you think, like what would be the pattern of met coke sourcing in India? Like once the situation normalizes, do you expect that the Chinese will be back with the cheaper coke in the Indian market, given the fact that the anti-dumping duty have been removed on the Chinese met coke now?
So that may happen, but it may not be sustainable, because China themselves need a good amount of coke. They may be an exporter of about 5 to 6 million ton in a year.
Right.
They may go up to maybe 8 9 million ton in a year, but even then it may not be able to satisfy the demand what the globe has. Today, Europe is the biggest importer and the buyer of a coke.
Okay.
So China may not be able to satisfy the demand of everyone. So there
Okay.
exists an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
for India to even look into Europe as an export. What you said was mainly to Vietnam or maybe to Japan. Japan also is another big uh, uh, target market.
Yeah, right.
And so I see there will be a good opportunity. Even if China will expand another few million, there will be a good demand.
Okay, okay. Perfect. So, sir, again, I am coming back to this question. Like, will the Chinese coke be a threat to the Indian manufacturers? Suppose in later half of 2022, like because we have seen in in the third week of February, because of these Olympic restrictions and other restrictions, Chinese coke were offered in huge quantity in the Indian market. So now with the anti-dumping not coming, being not imposed over here, uh, do you think that this will be a big threat to the Indian manufacturers? Or will it be like, as you're saying, that Chinese coke will be diverted to the European market? So it's not a major threat to the Indian players, is it?
No, so that was a temporary phase. After that, even Chinese export prices have corrected a lot,
Right,
and they are now trading closer to, maybe CFR basis would be close to about for 55,000 rupees to India.
right, right,
So that temporary phase is anyway over. They are out of Olympic,
right.
and the prices also have improved out of export to China, export from China.
Yeah, right.
So they will try to retain the price. Yes, one thing what I can see in China today,
Mhm,
that their CFR prices for met coal is much lower than what the CFR prices to India is. That's a disparity
mhm,
because of Australian ban by China.
mhm,
This
mhm,
disparity, if it continues, it will be slightly disadvantage to India.
mhm,
The Indian coke producers, they may,
mhm,
uh, with the help of India in terms of the good relationship with the government, what they have with the Russian entity,
mhm,
they should try and explore how, India is scattered in terms of for coke production,
mhm,
the met coal supply from Russia, and even the BCCL coal production, how they can enhance.
mhm.
Today, China has been able to enhance their domestic coal production.
Right, right.
And similarly, how India can help as a country to the coke producers
Mhm.
in making the Russian met coal and the BCCL coal available to remain cost competitive.
Right, true. So just adding to what you have said, can you tell me what is the basic issue with the Indian coking coal? Like, will it be will it be ever able to match the imported material, or there are a long list of hindrances that Indian coal will face?
It may not be at par in terms of the PLV, the prime low vol quality, but
Right.
as per me, it should be good enough to go into the small BF furnaces, whatever coke is made from the BCCL coal.
Okay.
So the ash is quite high. So
Mhm.
the washery has to be set up there in BCCL,
Right.
and immediate and large scale initiative should be taken over there,
Mhm.
and the coal should be made available to the Indian coke producer.
Okay, perfect. Sir, coming to the previous part of the question, like if Chinese, can you tell me what is the major quality or the size difference between the Chinese and the Indian met coke? Like, is there any way Indian can compete with the Chinese material if it comes at a cheaper rate?
It will not come at a cheaper rate as of now, as per
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I just said that the even Chinese coke CFR India will be closer to 55,000 rupees now,
Mm-hmm.
and with rupee depreciating, I don't think it will come cheaper to India. There was a window for briefly for anything and everything,
Mm-hmm.
which has closed now. China import in India may not likely to continue. Whatever few cargoes were booked
Mm-hmm.
during before Olympic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 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 So, sir, coming to that, like as you have said, that Indian players have a good prospects in the European market for exports. So, given the change trade dynamics in last 2 years, do you think that India can come up as a major met coke exporter to the world in the coming years ahead?
Yes, that is what we are saying as a factory to the world. I am
Mhm.
not saying only Coke.
Yeah.
I am saying there are a lot many more areas where India can be factory to the world,
Oh,
including Europe, including to Europe.
okay. 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 So we have seen like Japanese met coke imports growing up by 10 times in 2021. So does this also provide an opportunity to Indian exporters to increase their export in Japan? And what was the reason like why Japanese met coke imports have gone up drastically in 2021?
The reason is nothing but Indian Coke is good quality
Mm-hmm.
in terms of a sizing. They are able to do a segregation and make the quality what is required by Japanese
Mm-hmm.
available.
Okay.
Japanese, what they believe, if there is a consistency, if there is a sustainable quality operations is managed by any of the company, once they approve,
Mm-hmm.
they usually remain for years together. They are not a spot buyer, they are a long-term buyer.
Right. Right.
So any association under long term with the Japanese as a customer is always good,
Right.
and they maintain what they say.
Okay. Okay.
Vietnam has been a big opportunity for India in terms of an export.
Right.
So that also very nearby, I would say, a great opportunity for India.
Okay.
I'm
So
saying when India itself is importing 2.5 million,
hmm.
there is an opportunity within India, I would say.
Right. 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 True. True. So, we can say there is opportunity for good opportunity for Indian exporters in the Japanese and especially the European market in the coming months ahead. We can
Yes,
say so. Okay.
yes.
So, as you have mentioned earlier, that India is collaborating with Russia also to increase their coking coal imports from the country. Okay, and in third quarter of 2021, we have seen some MOUs being signed with the Russian government for supplies of coking coal and also in the steel sector. But we can see there is no substantial increase in the imports from Russia. So, are there chances that after this crisis, India will increase their sources from Russia in the coming months ahead also?
It should, because that's the paper what you are referring, which government has signed,
Hmm.
was having the same agenda what you are mentioning.
Right.
So it might not happen immediately, but gradually it will happen.
Okay. So gradually we can say like 5 years down the line, we can see more of a Russian coal coming into the Indian territories.
Yes, depends
Yeah.
how government would like to expedite,
Okay. Okay.
because this was more of a government took an initiative in terms
Mm-hmm.
of a bilateral and kind of a trade agreement with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So may not take 5 years, it may happen even early.
Oh, okay. Okay. Perfect. Sir, coming to some one of the technical questions, like this hydrogen-based iron production is slated to replace coke in view of controlling carbon emissions. So, how long will it take for this technology to be implemented in India, and would it impact the coke demand in the long run?
In the long run, it may,
Mm-hmm.
but by then the way still demand is growing,
Mm-hmm.
if both continues to grow,
Mm-hmm.
then whatever existing capacities are there,
Mm-hmm.
they will still remain in demand, right?
Okay. Okay. So this is
But
a distant dream, like hydrogen technology coming up is a distant dream currently in Indian market. So Coke is going to be in place in the near future, is it?
yes, I would say maybe you are saying distant dream, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody would like that dream to come true as soon as possible,
Very true.
depending upon the cost economics, right? Because
Right. Right.
eventually the cost today
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make any meaningful sense,
Mm-hmm.
but there are an obligation with respect to ESG and other carbon emissions restrictions.
Okay.
So both will grow in parallel as per me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hydrogen will also keep coming in, but there will be the demand also would be growing, right?
Oh, right. Right. Right.
So
So we
the
have to keep a balance between both the technologies, we can say.
yeah, so existing setup of a plant will continue because there will be a growth in demand and
Mm-hmm.
hydrogen cannot replace everything in one go. Yeah.
Right, 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 right. So, sir, this bringing up this hydrogen technology is a costly. I suppose it's a costly affair, right? Right. I mean, it's cost dynamics are very high in this technology.
I do not have a number, but
Mhm.
yes, as of now, hydrogen is quite expensive.
Okay, okay,
But
okay.
there were some published information or maybe the announcement made by the government.
Mm-hmm.
They are also doing something to make hydrogen available in India at a
Okay,
competitive price.
okay, okay, okay. So coming up to JSW, like as a major coking coal importer, how much coal does JSW secure through long-term contracts annually, and how much is procured from the spot market?
So usually we have a annual contract
Mm-hmm.
for all of our requirement
Mm-hmm.
and as a philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is any swing tonnage, we do spot. Otherwise, no.
Okay. Okay. Sir, coming to that itself, like as I have told, like in third week of Feb, when the prices were cheaper from the China, and big major companies have procured Metcoke already, and they are secured. I've heard that they are secured till mid of April. So is it true like your Metcoke requirements are done currently, and there is no worries in the Indian steel markets as of now?
See, for us, we are not a significant buyer of a coke as such.
Mm-hmm.
We just buy monthly, very hardly any tonnage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we go on a month-on-month basis,
Okay.
and that's how we make a coverage.
Okay.
So, but as a big buyer, I don't think we are a big buyer of a coke in India. I
Mm-hmm.
see there is another steel giant
Mm-hmm.
who has been a big time importer in India
Mm-hmm.
because they do not have a coke oven, if I'm right.
Right. Right. Right.
So that's one, and there
Mm-hmm.
are a few others also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Coming to the PCI part, like India's PCI coal imports from Russia have increased in 2021. So, given the ongoing conflict and the rise in prices, what are the alternate sources of supply that importers could be targeting as of now?
So PCI is if there is a stoppage. As of now, I don't think there is any stoppage between Russia and India,
Mm-hmm.
and things are happening
Mm-hmm.
unless you hear otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So the alternate source obviously would be other origins of met coal, those who are producing like Russia
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the US. So from all those direction or maybe the Canada would
Mm-hmm.
be flowing in. But today, PCI, Russia is the largest player.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. And the PCI prices in last 2 days have shot up like anything. Like we have heard one deal being concluded at 650 USD. So I don't know how much and when the prices will come to the normal levels. So this is a big question, and it's a very challenging and tough time for the steel mills as of now, I guess.
Yes, so that's the question you had at the beginning in
Yeah.
the form of met coal or maybe the PCI, both are same,
Yeah. Yeah.
historically high,
Mm-hmm.
and which is not a good situation to be in. because it requires a lot of fund involvement, the cash flow and other things, which makes it difficult.
Right.
But let us hope in next few months' time it all normalizes, as I said,
Right. Right.
because this price are not looking to be a sustainable.
Yeah, very true. These are unreasonably high prices. I mean, I guess. So
Yeah.
there is one audience question, sir. What coal blend does JSW use for coke making? Was JSW importing coal from Russia earlier?
We were importing PCI, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but not the coal.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
PCI we were importing, we are importing, yes.
Okay. 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 And what coal blend does JSW use? There is one question.
So exactly blend I may not know,
Yeah.
but we use all category of coal in the blend,
Mm-hmm.
starting from PLV and
Mm-hmm.
going down up to inerts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 So there's another question like, how do you price your coking coal under long-term agreement?
So this is a very specific question on
Mm-hmm.
us. So
Mm-hmm.
I may not be willing to answer, but he can connect with me one-on-one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. What could be the possible cost increase at the spot levels? One of the attendees is asking.
For
What could be the possible cost increase at spot levels?
so its spot prices are very high. So everybody knows what goes in, and
Mm-hmm.
automatically you can calculate a cost.
Mm-hmm.
But exact cost number I don't have. I
Mm-hmm.
will have to calculate.
Okay.
But yes, costs are very high. It's double.
Right. True. Everyone asking questions related to the cost itself. So there is one another question. Given the weather conditions that is affecting Australian coking coal prices, how do you see shipments from Australian premium hard coking coal performing this year?
I call you back. Good evening. हाँ उनको गौतम को फोन कर दीजिए. Okay. Sorry, Aditi.
Yes, sir.
So cooking coal price is not in our control, but as I said, the prices currently is not good for the industry and does not seem to be very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a knee jerk.
Mm-hmm.
As situation will normalize, which it
Yes.
should be,
Mm-hmm.
and this also will normalize
Mm.
to
Okay.
whatever anybody can guess.
Okay. Okay. JSW, there is another PCI related question. How is JSW looking at replacing Russian PCI?
Replacement, if it is not possible, you will have to use something else. But as
Mm-hmm.
of now, we have a supply balance between Australia and Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
whatever we hear in the market,
Mm-hmm.
if it is going to stop
Mm-hmm.
everything,
Mm-hmm.
then anything can happen. Then whatever directionally market is moving, it can
Okay.
keep moving up.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And then
Uh,
something will happen which will automatically bring a correction. What we believe, water always which is flowing, yeah, right? It may
right.
go up and down, but
Okay.
eventually it has to find its own level.
True. True. Very good example. Uh, sir, how much coking coal? One of the attendees is asking, like, how much coking coal inventory does JSW keep? Are we changing this, keeping in the mind, given the sharp rise in prices recently?
No, so we keep the same norm with the price. We do not take any call on the inventory,
Okay.
and inventory is a function of space also, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
You cannot keep it somewhere, anywhere, just like that.
True. Okay. One of the person is asking, like, how much of a steel price you think will offset the increase in coke and freight cost?
It's a lead and lag effect.
Mhm.
There will be a time when uh, there will be a fall, and when today it is rising. So it's
Mhm.
like chasing each other, right?
Mhm.
And how
Mhm.
far market will be able to sustain both the prices, we do not know.
Mhm.
And someday market will teach the
Mhm.
producer and the miner, everybody, and
Mhm.
then it will start reversing. So it's a cyclic nature.
Mhm.
So it chases each other.
Okay. Right. 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 Um, is there any plan for JSW to secure coking coal through commercial coal mining auction?
Where?
Okay. Okay, that was a one word answer. Okay.
So cooking coal mine in India, I think it came up in the auction
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it might come up again.
Mm-hmm.
But as of now, I don't think I will be able to answer that.
Uh-huh.
But as per me, any steel industry, they should definitely look at it in India. Why
Okay.
not to develop our own resource?
Mm-hmm.
Why to be dependent outside?
Right. True. True. Australian cooking coal supply has remained constant despite the surge in prices. Can you forecast any export numbers from Australia in 2022?
2022 number is likely to be at least 15 to 20 million ton better than 21.
Mm-hmm.
21 was a not a good year for Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and there were a lot of maintenance, there were a lot of rains,
Right.
and unexpectedly they lost big volume during July to December.
Right. Right.
But now we are hoping, and our estimate and the market estimate says in
Mm-hmm.
22 they will be doing at least 15 to 20 million ton better
Okay.
compared to
Better than 2020.
21.
Oh, okay. Better than 21. Okay. Okay. How do we see export demand shaping up once the situation normalizes, and what could be our export share in Europe? So this is particularly to JSW.
See, Europe has been most affected in this
Mm-hmm.
crisis, right?
Right. Right.
So they will be importing, continue to import. Today, I would say the Europe is the largest importer of a coke, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
they will continue to import,
Hmm.
and their imports were mainly from the Poland side.
Right.
Whether if that doesn't continue, then it will be supplied by other producers like India, China, Colombia. All these people will have to give them coke.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Uh, uh, do you
40,
think
40 to 50% coke was coming from Poland in
Poland? Right.
Europe. Yeah.
Right. 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 People are asking about like, do you think at some stage of high prices of coking coal, will it impact steel production and also the market disruption in terms of weaker player not being able to procure coking coal?
It's not a weaker player. I would say it's
Mm.
a concern for everyone.
Right.
And some correction would happen because there will be a day that market may not be able to sustain both the steel price and the coking coal price, and
Mm-hmm.
market will start correcting. That is the example I was giving you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Water cannot be always flowing up. It has
Right.
to settle down. Yeah.
Right. True. 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 Okay, so this brings us to the end of our Q&A round. So, if we have to summarize this discussion, we can say like if there is a fall, there is a uptrend. A fall will also come in the near future because this is unreasonable crisis, and it's just that companies have to survive this crisis and they will come out as a winner in the near term. And of course JSW has got a very good plans and of the procurement and everything. And any of the ending remarks you would like to add on this subject, sir?
Nothing as such, but we should remain cautious.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, that's what I would say because the time is very
Very true.
unprecedented time.
Very true. Very true. Okay, sir. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, viewers, for joining us and raising so many questions. Also, we would like to once again extend our gratitude to our partners and sponsors for all their support.